Hey guys, Jordan Rudolph. Welcome to the Community Fitness Podcast. I'm the host of the Community Fitness Podcast and the founder of Unity Fitness, and we are here in episode number 103. And again, another recording, not doing it live because I'm on my way up to Brainerd for a little weekend getaway with the fiance and trying to escape a little bit of stuff before we kind of start the big run through the fourth quarter for our business and for our lives. So, for this year, right? And escaping everything kind of sounds like a really nice place to go. So we're actually going to go somewhere colder, maybe-ish, about the same temperatures as here. But anyways, we have a nice week here, and weather's been fantastic and everything else. And I just wanted to keep this one short and sweet because I think with everything going on with obviously the pandemic and everything in between with whatever it is and however it is that you've been affected by this, because we all have, the presidential election. And I don't like to, there's basically three things that we don't talk about in Unity Fitness: religion, politics, and now COVID-19. We just don't talk about them, right? So with all of that going on, there's a lot of negative stuff being torn and thrown through amongst everything else political-wise in politics and beyond the presidential election and through it all. There's just a lot of sour stuff on Facebook. So one of the things that we know from a psychological standpoint is that if you can look for moments of gratitude throughout your day, especially if you start your day with that and end your day with it, or one of those two, it tends to lighten up the mood a lot and you get a lot better. So why not do it? It seems obvious. So that's what we're going to do today, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of a different twist on it. I'm gonna have you comment your three people after I say my three people, but your three people, they cannot be a parent, a grandparent, or a family member. They can be your significant other, but you can't choose a family member. And I say that because I would have just chosen all of my family members as the three most people that I'm grateful for. It would have been pretty easy to go with my mom, my grandma, and my grandpa. And it would have been a no-brainer, right? There's obviously other people in there, but they're kind of my top three. They were my three. They are my three rocks. So what I want you to do is I'm gonna go through my three people that I'm most appreciative of, and thankful for, and show my gratitude for, grateful for. Basically to get me to where I am today. And there's a lot more people that I could put on this list, but I'm going to go way back to the very beginning, and I'm going to start with I'm going to name my three. I'm going to go through a brief description why I named them that and where they're at. And they're in no particular order. They're just my top three. But I'm gonna ask you then to label your three people that you're most grateful for, regardless in your life, that cannot be a family member. All right, so it can't be a family member, can be a significant other. I'm gonna start with my runners up though, because I talk about them a lot in this podcast, and I have to mention them on this because the fact that I didn't mention them on this in my top three, but again, I'm kind of labeling it as like to get to where I am today. Why is Unity Fitness in this specific spot? Why am I able to be in this opportunity in this specific spot? Has a lot to do with these people. But Alan and Rachel Cosgrove are our coaches. That's who I get coached from. That's who Mandy gets coached from. They're out in California. They changed everything for me, and I've talked about them numerous times on the Community Fitness Podcast, but if Alan wouldn't have said I'm available for lunch on the mentorship that I did in 2014, in August of 2014, everybody else in the room, there was like 75 of us there, 65 of us, whatever it was, they all left, and I stayed because I was so overwhelmed. And he's just hanging out. He was hanging out. He was opening up the doors in the Hyatt Regency in Valencia, California, just getting some fresh air. And I just walked up to him and I talked to him for 5 minutes, and he completely changed my life, completely changed my mindset. And I think that's all I really needed to get this momentum going, this confidence going. And the friends that I was down there with, I was at another gym at the time, and the people that I were there with, I met up with them again that night because we were at a big conference. We were volunteering to help at a big conference, but I was lucky enough, Mama Peep, the head lady of ours, our boss, let me go for a day to go to this mentorship that I had already been involved with for several months prior. just online stuff, but this was like an in-person one-day event that happened to happen at the same time that I'm in California. Like it was like the stars aligned. It couldn't have been more perfect. Um, and so I had to go. Right, it was an hour and a half trip north, which at the time I thought was south. I didn't know where the hell I was going out there, but anyway, it worked out. I got to go to a one-day event, and I remember sitting on the rooftop bar or on the rooftop with a bucket of beers with the crew that we were down there with here from La Crosse, Wisconsin, from this gym, helping out at this event. Um, and they all acknowledged that I was a totally different person after that, talking with Alan and my buddy Harrison, who's also a gym owner. Um, like still talks about it, right? Like he said, like, yeah, you were totally different when you got back from that. So I got to thank Alan and Rachel for that part of it. And Alan was just the one that was there. I think Rachel was doing paperwork or busy with Donna or left for lunch. Like we were supposed to get lunch, and I didn't leave. I was so in deep thought. I think I brought some food with me to eat, and so I ate it there, and it was awesome. It was nuts, right? But so that's Alan. Alan and Rachel. They're the runners up. There's several more people I can put in this. I can put FitFam member Terry Urbanic in this podcast for all of her help that she helped me with the Small Business Development Center. She was kind of my representative from them and helped me build the business plan and help us get the loan to get this started. I can name off several more members that helped with their love, with their effort, with their just kindness and passion and wanting to see me succeed. The stuff that they've done to help me get here and help us be here, I'm forever thankful for. And obviously they're the parents and the grandparents and my family, my brothers, my sister, my stepdad, uncles, aunts, like everybody that was here helping us build this place when we started. I mean, we had 10 people here painting one day, right, to get it all done in time. From the Unity Fitness standpoint, strictly from the Unity Fitness standpoint, I'm kind of speaking of from today, but it's easy to relate because we're talking here, but there's teachers and everything else that's involved, professors at UWL. I mean, I could go on and on. But I'm going to my top three of why I am where I am today. And then what I want you to do when we're done is label your top three people as to why you are where you are today, but you can't label a family member or a significant other. So, again, in no particular order, number one is my first boss as a personal trainer. Not the owner, not my top boss, but the training manager. His name was Randy Erickson. He's owned a few gyms in the process over the last 5 or 6 years. He now owns an online fitness business down in Arizona. I think he's starting an in-person business as well. But he was the guy. He was the Yoda. He was my Yoda, and if he's my Yoda, I would say like the Alan and Rachel are probably like my Obi-Wan or my they're like that level with Yoda, but they were Yoda before Yoda was Yoda. Before we knew Yoda was, like, who did Yoda coach, and that's kind of who Alan and Rachel are. But Randy was my Yoda, if we're talking Luke Skywalker and Yoda speak. And I think the biggest thing that I got to be grateful for him is that he took the time and the effort to help me. College kid at the time, going to PT school or trying to get into PT school, who's never personal trained before, saw something in me. The owner did not want me to work there. There was two interviews at the end, and the owner wanted the other guy. And Randy said, no, I think Jordan's the one. And they ended up hiring me, thankfully, right? 'Cause that was almost 10 years ago to the day. And they hired me, and I started with them, and it was going off of an online certification. I had my bachelor's already from UWL. I was going to grad school right now at UWL at that time, doing some physical therapy classes and some other stuff through them, through coursework and research. And he said, no, I want Jordan. And I went there, and after I started, we're all on volunteer. We're an independent contractor, so I don't get paid unless I'm training. And I didn't realize like how bad of a salesman I was, right? So he helped me, train me through some of that stuff to help just get me started. But more importantly, he gave me confidence to do what I was able to do. And I think that's the most important thing. Like Alan, I talked about him just a moment ago. Like he gave me confidence, right? Like if I get confidence, I can get some stuff done. It's more so making sure I am confident. And that's where I talk about today. Like that's what exercise does for me. But at the time, I was exercising, working out and stuff and all that other stuff, and that's why I got into the field a little bit more progressively that way. But I wanted to change people's lives, and I remember shadowing Randy's session, unpaid again, and I saw what he did in a couple hours and what he did with people, and I was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. Like, I'm going to drop out of school to do this. And mom wasn't totally happy with it right away, but she got it right away. She found out that this was it. This was something that I was super passionate about, and I was good at it. I got really good really quick, but I had to. I didn't want to let people down. But Randy helped me. Randy saw something in me that essentially the owner didn't, or maybe nobody else did. I applied for one personal training job. I got it. And he took the time and effort. There was a couple other guys that were there too, Tyler and Josh, that really helped me out, and Justin, that really kind of just, I picked their brains constantly, and I watched them constantly. I shadowed their sessions constantly. I hung out at the gym like 14 hours a day, and I only got paid for maybe an hour or two of it, right? So there was just tons of stuff that I was just absorbing in and trying to get better at. And Randy did it, and he basically brought me up. And when he left, I took over his position, and Snap, the gym that I was at, the Snap at the time, the Snap Fitness at the time, we became top 10 in the world through Snap Fitness in terms of personal training revenue and personal training clients. Top 10 in the world, guys. There was like 1,400 Snaps that were compared to this, and we were top 10 here in our area, which is crazy to even think about it, right? So that's what we were able to do when I took over, and what we were able to kind of push forward. But it wouldn't have been possible if Randy wouldn't have devoted his time and energy into me. And roles have kind of switched through that. Like when we took over as the business of Unity Fitness, and I started Unity Fitness. We're not a franchise, by the way. We're not a franchise. Like this is our thing. It's a locally owned small business from here. I then helped Randy kind of pick his brain to get started. So like the mentee became the mentor for him, and now we both are there for each other to do that, and doing our own thing. But Randy's number one. And again, I don't have these in any like particular order. He's just top three, but Randy's one of them, right? And the second person then goes to Matt Haberl, Dr. Matt Haberl of Dynamic Physiotherapy. When I was going to physical therapy school, I was placed under Matt's guidance for shadowing for about 55, 65 hours, something like it. Maybe it was 75. And I got to see him on a day-to-day basis in the hospital setting over in Toma Memorial Hospital. So I would drive to Toma 2 days a week, 3 days a week to start with him, I think at like 7 or 8 a.m. And I would shadow for like 3 or 4 hours each morning and get to see him. And here's the biggest thing that I think: Matt was always willing to answer any of my questions and help me with everything, and make sure I was always there to work with stuff and do stuff. And he always treated me well, which at the time, like I was not taking care of my body when I was doing that, not taking care of myself. I was ass tired every morning when I got up there and worked out or shadowed with him. I could have been a much better student, but bless Matt for letting me be able to do that with him. And I still remember the most important thing is we were sitting at his desk, and he was filing his documentation for a patient, for a client, and he pulled the sheet out and he goes, "This is what frustrates me the most about physical therapy and beyond, is that somebody comes in, for example, with like a rotator cuff injury, and the person just hands them the PT just says, here's your sheet of physical therapy exercises to do, and they might be good, they might be damn good, and they've got a good protocol, and there's good research and study and analysis behind them. But what frustrated Matt the most is that not all those PTs actually like assessed as why the rotator cuff became the problem. They just assumed that was the problem because the person had an incident, injury, whatever, gave them the cookie cutter approach with the sheet, and didn't check anything else. And maybe it was because they were kyphotic shoulders. Maybe they had an AC joint problem. Maybe they had tight biceps and pec muscles that kind of pulled their shoulder forward. Maybe they had an active scapula that made the rotator cuff act more, and everything else. But what Matt did is he took the time to answer a ton of questions, ask a ton of questions, get a ton of documentation and notes, and then also prescribe the right things to make sure that the rotator cuff does get stronger and goes through it. And again, it's a hypothetical example, but also that it doesn't happen again, or something else like that makes the person better overall. He treated the person, not the symptom. And I think there were so many things that I learned from those moments. But there was a specific moment that we sat at his desk and he told me that, and I could feel his emotion, I could see his anger, his frustration, I could feel it too, and it made me angry and frustrated. I was like, yeah, why do we do that? Why do we give people a cookie cutter approach all the time? Why do we just assume that that's part of it? And like, why wouldn't we assess? Because if you're not assessing, you're guessing. And yeah, they might have went through a rotator cuff surgery, came in with a rotator cuff injury, but why not take that little extra time to make sure that you're doing the right thing for that person? And I feel like that's the same thing that we do with your health and fitness here at Unity Fitness. And I learned that from Matt. And when I started personal training almost 10 years ago now, it became that right away. It became that. It became that right away. So Matt, thank you for your guidance, for your leadership, for your expertise, your knowledge, and everything else beyond that. Like, I don't know if how much, I don't think I've ever told you how much you've had an impact on me, Matt, but you did, man. And we still talk today. We still work together a lot today. He's up here running dynamic physiotherapy along with the other phenomenal therapists that are there, physiotherapists, with Diane, Jake, Matt, Marcy, and beyond. And there's two or three more there now, guys, but they're phenomenal. Dynamic physiotherapy, look them up. And then the last person is obviously the easier choice, and I told you I was going to say this basically in the beginning when I said you can choose a significant other, but it is Mandy. My fiance, Mandy, she's also the manager, membership director of the gym. So she's our general manager and membership director here. She does everything behind the scenes. She takes care of all of our people behind the scenes. She makes my life so much easier just in the terms of me not having to battle technology any more than I already have technological battles with. Right now it's probably technology like 88 to me like 20. And just saying that out loud just pisses me off even more. So we're not going to talk about it because technology, we need it, we love it, but it sucks. It's terrible. And why can't it just work the way we want it to work? Like, hopefully this microphone's working right now. Hopefully this is all recording right now because I wouldn't know if it wasn't. Anyway, the biggest thing that Mandy did for me, she was my rock. She was my confidence builder. She always saw something in me that she said, if you don't do this, type of thing, you're going to regret it. Or why wouldn't you do this? Like, you're good enough. Let's do it. When I'm doubting myself, Mandy's there to make sure that I don't go to that level of doubting myself so much where we don't accomplish our goals and do that. And I think one of the coolest things that I can talk about her for just being my constant rock for confidence and support. It seems like a thing that significant others should do, right? Which is obvious, but she does it so unconditionally. She's always been there. Like, I don't know if Unity Fitness would be here if Mandy didn't push me to go for it. We were going to move, guys. We were talking about moving. I was talking about leaving and going to maybe California to be closer to Alan and Rachel. And she said, no, you stay. Like, do it here. We can do it here. And you can be closer to your family and your friends and all of the people that you want to support with my clientele. Like, you can do it here. And we did. But I don't know if we would have fully went through with it like we did as soon as we did if it wasn't for her. So she's got this big part of why we are here, what we were able to do. And I think we would have been here regardless, but I probably would have stalled a little bit longer. Not saying that we would have moved to California, but we would have stalled. I would have stalled if it weren't for her just saying do it. I was on the fence and she just pushed me over, which is a big lesson for people to actually just start their health and fitness journey in general, not just a business or anything else for your goals. Sometimes you are on the fence so much, and we'll always reside on the side of caution. Just go to somebody that you know will push you over and push them over and get pushed over. But the big thing that she does for me constantly is that she lets me live in the clouds. She lets my my brain go this way. And there's Susan B, a member here. There's a term that I'm thinking of, but it's the way that you think, and it's kind of like you're this thinker that can kind of live in the clouds. And there's this, it's like abstract thinking, concrete thinking, and other things. But I'm a very forward thinker. I'm a very positive forward thinker. And I see a lot of, like, I'm a glass half full. I'm probably more of a glass 3/4 full than anything. Always the benefit of the doubt, see the best in people, want to see the best in people, expect the best out of people. Gets me in trouble sometimes, but that's just the way I am. That's how I think. That's how I feel. It's one of those things that I feel like that if more people were like that, they would probably be better off. But I always see the best in people. I want the best out of people. I feel like they deserve the best. Um, and I want that for my ideas. And she lets me live in the clouds and think in the clouds, but she helps keep me grounded enough to know like how to stay real. And I call myself a realist like at heart. Like I'm probably a realist over anything. And she helps me kind of make sure that I give my realistic thought, my logic brain, a lot of that. And I am an analytical thinker. I'm a logic thinker. I don't make emotional decisions very well, and but when I start doing it, she helps me kind of make sure that there's reason and there's logic behind it. So she lets me live in the clouds, and she supports that, and she lets me do that. But then she can also make sure I'm staying grounded enough to not just float away. And I think that combination is pretty deadly for in terms of what we want to be able to do in our life and our goals and our business and our health and fitness. And it's really cool to have somebody on my side that does that for me, that I can talk to on a daily basis and do that beyond the relationship side of things. And for her doing everything that she's done for me in terms of where I'm at as a professional and as the business owner and everything else, and the health and fitness stuff, what I've done, I'm forever grateful, right? So those are my three. I got Randy Erickson, my first ever kind of boss as a personal trainer. Matt Haberl, the therapist that I shadowed the most under physical therapy school when I was shadowing, Dr. Matt Haberl, and Mandy. And those are my three. So what I want you today is to label your three below. You can say why. I would love to see why, but I want you to label three people below in your comments of who you're most grateful for. Cannot be a family member though. Okay, it can be a significant other, but it cannot be a family member. So that's your job, that's your goal today, and it'll help you kind of feel better about today, and it'll make those people feel pretty cool too, especially if you tag them. So make sure you tag them. If they're on Facebook, make sure that tag lights up and you make sure they're on it. And then they can maybe watch this too and go through them, because I think that would be pretty cool if we could create some sort of stream or train or chain like that. But anyways, guys, that's episode 103 of the Community Fitness Podcast. I think it's 103. 102, 103, something like that. I don't know. I lost track. My mind's going in a few different places down memory lane. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Put those comments below with your three people you're most grateful for. But it can't be a family member or whatever it is that you're grateful for them. And you can put why if you want to, but just put the names on there. That'll make their day. I am most grateful for 1, 2, and 3. But again, I'll see you next week. If you want us to talk about anything in particular, put it in the comments below. I'd love to get ideas. We're always asking. Other than that, you're watching the Community Fitness Podcast. I'm the founder of Unity Fitness, and I will see you next week. Be well, be healthy, be safe, be responsible. Thanks, guys.